Hey guys, welcome back to Storytime with UncleAlex. I'm Alex, and this is r/entitled parents. On another note, I hope everybody has a good Friday. Know what your plans for the weekend are? Mine's just cranking out some more videos for you guys. I hope you enjoy the stories today, and with that, let's get into them. Karen requests the entire wedding to stop the festivities so everyone can sing happy birthday for her son at someone else's wedding. Stay with me, folks, as this tale has two Karens. This happened at a friend's wedding I attended this summer. The newlywed couple had no idea that Karen number 1, entitled mother of the birthday boy, and their mom, Karen number 2, entitled mother of the groom, were scheming together to make a happy birthday request with the DJ as the lovely couple finishes cutting their cake. Not missing a single beat, the Karens winked at one another across the aisle, and entitled mother number 1 abruptly hands signals for the DJ's attention and asked him to stop the music so the entire wedding would look over to her precious boy and sing happy birthday out loud to this grown-ass 38-year-old. The groom and bride had no idea, and the looks on their face was of fuming confusion. The birthday boy had no freaking clue what just happened. I spoke up and said to Karen number 1, how embarrassing that would be if my mom did something like that to me, and that she should not have taken attention away from the newlyweds. She snapped at me and said, with a smirly smile, well, this isn't for you now, is it? I rolled my eyes, and looked away silently after realizing I'm talking to a wall. How are you going to someone else's wedding? Mind you, the guy's 38 years old. Now, I'm not blaming him, because obviously, it was the mothers that planned this. But why would you embarrass a 38-year-old man at a wedding like that? Like, that's mad crazy. Especially the groom mother. Really? She had nothing else better to do than to take the attention away from the newlyweds? And the comment that she made, oh, this isn't for you. Ma'am, you're at a wedding. Come on, seriously. Entitled Karen mistakes me for a department manager and demands I tell her what the starting pay rate is. So I work in the stock and dairy department of a major supermarket in my area. Since the holidays are coming up, my store is trying to hire as many people as possible to deal with the holiday rushes. That means that there are now hiring signs up all throughout the store. And while I've gotten questions about the process before, it's usually stuff like, how do I go about submitting an application? How old do you have to be to work here? They offer flexible hours for high school/college students. About how many hours do they give you a week? The usual stuff that potential applicants would rather ask an associate working on the floor than a manager. I also have to mention, for the sake of the story, I recently got a work shirt with my name embroidered on it. It is so I wouldn't have to worry about wearing a name tag anymore. One particular super busy Sunday afternoon, I was loading eggs to the shelf when a woman and her teenage son walked up to me. So the woman said, I see that you guys are hiring, and I just wanted to know what the starting pay rate was to see if this would be a good place for my son's first job. So I responded, I'm sorry, I'm honestly not sure. And she immediately snapped, what do you mean you're not sure? You're a department manager, right? And I told her, actually, I'm just a part-timer here. But your name is on your shirt, she exclaimed, pointing to my chest. Only managers get a shirt like that. So I told her, well, they recently started offering shirts like this to anyone who wants one, from department manager to baggers. She huffed and said, I can't believe that they let part-timers wear personalized shirts like that. I thought you were a manager. Well, anyway, what do you make an hour? So I told her, if your son is hired, he would make much less than I do, since I was hired almost 16 years ago, and workers at my tenure level just got a significant raise. You would be better off asking a manager that question. She then huffed again and said, there's no way you've been here 16 years. You look 20 at the oldest. I'm 32, and extremely baby-faced. Now, I'm getting annoyed, so why don't you just tell me what you made when you started working here, since I'm sure it's not too far off the starting pay rate now. I looked her dead in the eye and told her, $7.25. She just sputtered something I couldn't comprehend. Auditory processing disorder can be a blessing sometimes. Then stormed off with her son in tow. Not my worst entitled parent story, but it was still amusing. Nowadays, yeah, I've worked at places where you have like your shirt embroidered so that way you've got a floppy name tag that they're gonna have to replace eventually, again and again and again, because you lose it, you destroy it, something happens. So for her to assume manager is just kind of rude. And again, like the first story, kind of embarrassing that a mom is trying to get the kid a job instead of the kid looking for a job on his own. I'm pretty sure that kid was standing there like red-faced going, you gotta stop. Karen's baby boy wants my camper. I just bought a camper trailer not too long ago. It was pretty old, so I repainted it and fixed it up. It doesn't look new, but pretty darn good, and I plan to take it camping soon. I had it hitched up to my SUV because I was taking it to a friend's house a ways away and thought it would be the perfect time to test spending the night in it away from home. I stopped at a station to gas up and buy some snacks in the little store connected to it. When I came out, there was a woman and her young son trying to look in the window of my trailer. I asked them what they were doing, and the lady gave me a sour look before saying, "My baby likes your trailer, so I decided he could check it out. But the door was locked." Me. Damn right the door was locked. You don't just try to enter someone else's trailer. That's basically the same as trying to just walk in their house. Karen cross-armed and said, "How rude. My baby just wanted to look around. Just open the door and let us in." Me. "Yeah, no. Go away and don't bother me again." At this point, her crotch goblin started crying and pulling on her shirt. "Mommy, I want it." Mind you, the kid looks like he was 7 or 8 years old. I just started laughing because this situation sounded so much like the other Reddit stories that I'd listened to online almost daily. Karen started stamping her feet and yelled, "What's so funny? Let us in the camper right now." I wiped a tear from my eyes and said, "Because this is the most stereotypical situation I've ever seen in person of a Karen trying to act entitled to someone else's property just because their brat wants it." I called her Karen because her eyes twitched and she scrunched up her face to the point it looked like she smelled something unbelievably foul. Then she grabbed her still crying kid and dragged him away by his arm. All the while, I'm still laughing. She then got into a crappy looking old Honda and gave me the finger. I just waved with a crap eating grin as she drove away. Funny enough, there's a part 2, and it's hysterical to me. But, again, entitled parent. Now we add the kid into the equation, and mom's encouraging the kid's behavior. While you up on somebody else's stuff, especially their camper, and a little kid's yelling, "Oh, I want it." No. That kid has no idea what he's going to do with a camper. And then the whole finger thing because you didn't get your way. I'm glad the guy stood his ground, and honestly, I'd have just been as bad as him. I'd have been laughing the whole time. I wouldn't even let her talk. I'd just laugh. And every time she talks, I'll probably laugh harder. Karen expects total stranger to babysit her child, even after being told no. So this is a weird one. Not my story, but a friend who messaged me right after it happened to vent. Because WTAF. Karen equals entitled mother. SK equals sweet kid. F equals my friend. So Karen moved into the apartment next to friends a couple weeks ago. Karen has struck up short, polite conversations with friend just 2 times in that period, with the second being yesterday, the day before this whole fiasco unfolded. This morning, at about 9 a.m., while friend was having a nice Saturday breakfast, she gets up at 6 a.m. on weekdays, so this was a weekend lie-in for her. Someone started aggressively banging on her front door. When friend answered, Karen was standing there with sweet kid, 5-year-old girl, who had a little backpack on, sounded very flustered. Karen said she was sorry to have to ask with no notice, but could friend please watch sweet kid for a few hours? Because Karen had somewhere really important to be. Now, something you need to understand about friend is that she can't stand kids and has no idea how to deal with them. Like, she tenses up and gets super awkward if a kid so much as waved at her in the supermarket. Friend is also disabled. She uses a motorized wheelchair sometimes and a walking cane for short distances, or when she's just pottering around her own home. She lives with her girlfriend, who is also her carer. Her chronic illness involves fainting spells and a lot of brain fog, so by her own account, she's absolutely not someone who would be left in charge of a child. Karen has seen friend using both her wheelchair and her cane, and has seen friend's girlfriend, who was at work when this all happened, helping her in and out of their car. The friend responded with a firm no, explaining that her medical condition meant that sweet kid would not be safe in her care, and that she's not well enough at the moment to have any guests, let alone an unintended kid, in her home. Anyway, Karen immediately flipped from pleading and simpering to hand-on-hip indignation. At this point, accusing friend of faking her disability, because of course, if she can walk at all, then she obviously doesn't actually need a wheelchair, right? I'm threatening to report her to Centerlink, welfare, if friend didn't watch sweet kid for her. Never mind the fact that friend isn't on welfare. Her girlfriend has a high-paying job, and friend works somewhere between part-time and full-time hours from home most weeks. She's a goddamn machine, and I don't know how she manages it. Newsflash, not all disabled people are unable to work. Although, of course, getting employers to actually hire us is another matter, cause ableism. So a friend basically said, I'm not on Centerlink, and I don't appreciate being blackmailed. Find another babysitter, because I am not it. And closed her door. Karen kept banging on the door for a bit, but eventually left. About 20 minutes later, friend heard a very faint, timid tapping on her front door. She said if she hadn't been so close to it, she probably wouldn't have heard it. She sighed heavily, having kind of already guessed what was happening. She opened the door, and there was sweet kid. who had clearly been crying, clutching the shoulder strap of her little backpack. She said, very softly, "Mommy said I could stay here today." Now, like I said, Friend cannot stand kids, but even she said that Sweet Kid was an absolute darling throughout this entire fiasco, and the most she ever did was cry, because her mother is clearly a goddarn monster. Karen had driven off and sent Sweet Kid to Friend's door, clearly thinking that if she left Friend with no alternative, she'd just play along and babysit Sweet Kid for her. Anyway, especially since Friend had literally no way of contacting Karen. Wrong. Friends escaped abusive parents at a young age, and this crap made her furious. She got Sweet Kid settled in front of the TV, with a drink and some snacks, and called the police. Yeah, my neighbor just abandoned her 5-year-old daughter outside of her apartment, and the kid showed up at my door, asking to come in. When the officers arrived, Friend told them the full story, and while they were appalled, she said they weren't surprised. One said, "You'd be shocked at how not rare this kind of thing is," which is honestly kind of the worst part of all this. The officer took Sweet Kid with them and were really sweet with her, explaining to her that she wasn't in any trouble and had done the right thing, that they were there to look after her and find out where her mommy had gone. Friend found out later that they were able to contact Sweet Kid's father, who was currently working on finalizing a divorce from Karen, and was also appalled, but not remotely surprised by what she had done. Here's hoping he gets full custody of the poor kid after all this. That's crazy. It's one thing if they were talking about it and she threw the kid in there and left, because at least somebody would have seen her go up to the door, or somebody would have known where she was. An entitled parent decides just telling the kid to go to the door and then leaving was a better idea, because honestly, if I was the friend, I'd have done the same thing. I'd have been nice to the kid, sit it down, here's some snacks, I'm gonna make a phone call. So yeah, that's nuts. I would never want to see another parent do that, because you don't know between going to the car and her going up to the apartment what could happen. That's just not how you do things. And for the story, pray to dad if you got the kid, because yeah, I guess it's not the first time. It's probably the last time she ever gonna pull that crap. All these crazy stories with entitled parents thinking either the kid can get whatever they want when they ask for it, or dropping a kid off to another person without even acknowledging that she even got there. And I mean, that's crazy. It's always the entitled parents or entitled Karens who are like, I'm just gonna do what I want because I can. That's nuts. Well, if you liked my video, give it a like. If you want to comment, leave a comment down below. Tell me how you liked the video. Tell me your stories of entitled parents. I will try to reply to some of them. If you're liking the channel, why don't you hit the subscribe button down below. That way you get notified when a new video drops. And with that, I hope you come to the next video. I'm UncleAlex. Have a wonderful weekend. actual fear of consequences into her. LOL. We shall see. I will, of course, post further updates if I receive any.